Here's a lesson on how the world works in a very unique way you probably haven't heard before. I have a list of documentaries that I send out often. It's a lot of people in the self-perfected community, people who genuinely want to understand how the world works. There's a lot of really good documentaries on it that is very eye-opening. So I can send you that, but I'm going to do a little synthesis here so you can really make sense of the world and like why it's so polarized. Why you look around and you see a lot of people who just are clinging to their opinions. And also too, just why you see yourself and a lot of people around you like struggling and not living the best life. So I'm going to go a little bit all over the place in this video, but trust me, it will make a lot of sense. And I'm also going to tell you where the world is headed based on a lot of the research I've been doing and a way that you can prepare yourself and your family. So that way you're more prepared for, what's to come, because there's a big compression happening. There's the system is squeezing in on everyone, and you'll notice it. There's a lot of people struggling with basic things like paying their bills, putting food on the table, that kind of thing. And there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of fear as well here, especially in America right now. So I want to talk about all this. Okay. First, there is a really, really good documentary called The Century of the Self. What's up, lady? My sidekick here. Let's just take a minute and enjoy how adorable she is. Hi, lady. All right, I got to make a video. Okay, so chill. Chill out, baby. Might have to walk. Otherwise, she's going to be in my face the whole freaking time. Okay, so there's a documentary called The Century of the Self. 10 out of 10 recommended. It was actually the first date I ever went on with my wife. Well, this was at her apartment. We watched a 4-hour documentary together. And it was wonderful. It was when I really knew that I loved Jessica. Seriously. The fact that was our idea of fun on a Saturday was to hang out and watch that documentary together. And if you resonate with that kind of thing, you would love what we're about, our events, our communities, and all that. So The Century of the Self was created by this guy named Adam Curtis, who is based in the UK, but he explains, so it's called Century, 100 years of the self. And he narrates how in around the 1950s, after World War II, previous to World War II, there was this idea that the way you market things, you just talk about the functionality. You'd be like, hey, buy this Ford truck. It's going to get you from point A to point B. Great. And then people would just buy it. But after that era, a new era opened up of consumerism. And this was where you would market your Ford truck and be like, hey, buy this Ford truck. It's going to make you look sexy. Women are going to love it. Or it's going to make you feel like a man. It's basically manipulating you based on your feelings and your emotions. And that was a big shift. But then the documentary also goes into explaining how the concept of PR, public relations, how that was engineered by the elite. Edward Bernays, he was the nephew of Sigmund Freud. I don't know if he was if it was nephew exactly or cousin or something like that, but in Freud's family. So he was one of the first people to start to learn about the unconscious and psychology and use that to manipulate the masses. It's a very well done documentary, but how it relates to you here is that for a long time, the past 75-ish years, we have been bombarded and society has been engineered around this idea of the consumer. Literally, they have consumer reports, and the way that they judge our economy is based on consumerism, which is pretty insane, because what are we actually doing now? Here's the moment of truth. We are literally consuming our freaking planet. We're consuming ourselves. These phones that we're on, that you're using right now to watch me, is consuming our attention, our mind, our brain. It's crazy. But we got to be aware of it if we want to change it. Do you like going around just consuming shit? How do you feel when you scroll social media for 4 hours? Not very good, right? Is it actually helping you live your best life? Not exactly. There's some good in it. I go on social media a couple times a day, and I'm interacting with people that I am building with, and we have relationships, and we're creating together. So social media can be used in a really cool way. But it's right now, from the starting point with the intention of consumerism, it's horrible. It's really, really nasty, actually. And then now you have AI and ChatGPT, which is at a whole new level. It's the externalization of the mind. That's what AI really is. It's the externalization of the human mind. And the human mind is a consuming machine. Our mind is literally consuming our body. Like, if you actually want to know how reality works, you should join the Self-Perfected group, because we explain how this works. Like, here's my question for you. Where does your mind come from? We tend to think that, oh, our mind and our thoughts are so powerful and so cool. But actually, where does your mind come from? Because whatever your answer is, you're probably guessing. You probably heard some cool self-development book or some guru on some podcast. You're like, everything is the mind. Or, oh, the mind is just synapses in the brain. It's like, you're half there, okay? Here's my point. We have been in this consumerist cycle for so long that the people running the show and the people of influence over society are seeing the writing on the wall that we are going to consume ourselves into oblivion and die if we keep doing this. So people have different takes on this. Here in the West, there's this attempt to do this kind of great reset and like create the system on a whole new level. And then you have places in like Russia where they have a different take on what their society needs to regenerate itself. That's part of what's behind the whole war with Ukraine. Them seeing how NATO is encroaching on them, but also the Russian ethic. I've been deep diving into some series on geopolitics to understand this, because I'm looking at the state of the world. I care about everyone. I especially care about my family and my kids and my local community and the people around me. And I'm like, I want to see the world thrive, but that means I have to understand the world in depth and understand how it's working. So here's the interesting perspective. The way that in like the Russian consciousness, and like from the understanding of how Putin is looking at what the future of his country looks like, is instead of going towards the consumerism, it's more looking at going towards the warrior archetype. So it's very interesting, because in Russia, I mean, I'm not an advocate for war by any means. I know that there is a way we can figure this out by talking to each other and not needing to kill each other. But I also realize we have, for a very, very, very long time in human history, it's in our DNA to fight each other. There's a really fascinating series by this guy, Professor Jang. I don't know how to spell his name. Jiang, something like that. But it's called Predictive History. And he uses game theory and some other historical analyses to understand why the world is the way it is. And he's predicting things like the Iran war. He predicted that Trump would win. It's very interesting. I don't think he has a full... there's my cat trying to jump on the slide. See, could I have predicted that with game theory? Probably not. So there's still limited understanding he has. But he brought up a really good point of how like the Russian mentality is very different than what we have here in America. Where in the Russian mentality, it's like Putin is seeing to not go into the consumerist trap. And it's much more having like the warrior archetype, that you can use that to unify society. Because right now in the West, we have consumerism as unifying society to our detriment. But in Russia, it's like they have this war that is a unifying factor. Is it the best unifying factor? No, but again, there's so much context to this. My point for getting this across to you is to realize that there is a war right now for the human mind. There is a war for your attention. There's a war for your kids. There's a war for your very being. And I'm not talking about some spiritual war where it's the angels and the demons and all that. You could use that language to try and explain it, but it's like you are at war right now. Every single thing is vying for your attention, to mine you for your data, to mine you for your energy, to mine you for your money, your life force. And I would encourage you to actually look at, okay, how much of your identity is right now caught up in being a consumer? where you're just kind of looking at the next high you're going to get from like the next purchase you're going to make, or going out to eat, or going on the next vacation, or the next car, or the house you want, or whatever. I'm not saying buying stuff is bad. It's just, what's your starting point within it? And are you just consuming to consume, or are you creating? And part of creation is that you do invest in things. You see how there's a really massive difference there? Like, I look at our home. The reason we got the home is not because I'm like, I want to have a big home. It's actually kind of freaking stressful to have a big home, because now my wife's got to clean it, and then we have cleaning people come, and it's like we have a big yard, and yeah, it's cool, but there's a lot of responsibility with it. The reason we got the home with the yard and all the stuff is because of what we're creating, because of the purpose behind it. So for you watching this video, to look at, where are you being mindlessly a consumer? And also, what is your vision of what you want to create? And do you see how some of the shit you're consuming and focused on isn't actually helping you? It's just this like mental matrix thing where you're just buying shit. It's like that phrase. They say we spend our whole lives working to buy shit we don't need, to impress people we don't like. And, it's kind of a catchy meme, but it's actually very true. So what are you creating? And now the other part I want to bring in is this transition in different parts of the world where they're using, instead of going into consumerism, it's more this mentality of like gearing up for war, being a warrior, having that be this unifying thing that can give you purpose and structure and discipline in your society. Are you willing to fight the war for the mind? Are you willing to actually get out there and be part of the team that I call team life? Do you want to see life in the world and humanity thrive, and we create a future where everything is expansive and has more freedom? Are you willing to fight that war? Or are you just going to sit on the sidelines and let the war play out in front of you, where this war is now actively enslaving us? It's like this, it's like these tech companies and the shit that they're trying to do right now is so insane. It is so insane. Have you seen these data centers, how big they are? They're trying to take the fresh water that's feeding your family and your kids and your future grandkids, and instead of making sure it's clean water delivered through good pipes to your home and make sure that you're hydrated and you can live well, they are trying to take this water and run it through their fucking data centers to cool all their servers. And this is literally potentially going to reroute like entire ecosystems and like rivers that feed a lot of people. The data companies, the AI companies, the tech companies, they need data. They need these server farms. Like, okay, think about it. This YouTube video, I'm filming on my phone, okay? And then it's going to go be held in the cloud on some YouTube server and some Apple server. And then it's going to be sent to your phone or your computer, however you're watching this. That doesn't work like magic. That actually requires real physical things to be in place. Like, reality is based on, like, we live in a physical world. As much as you may think, because Joe Dispenza or someone told you that, oh, everything is the mind. It's like, there's still real physical things that have physical consequence. And so, are you going to be the kind of person who wants to actually fight the war for the mind and win on behalf of life? Or are you cool with us going in this weird, altered future where people put chips in their fucking brain and you educate your kid with AI? Your kid doesn't actually understand anything because the AI isn't actually making you smarter. Sure, can it make your life more efficient? Can it help you research things? Great, yeah. But is the information actually in your brain? Is that leveling up? And are you building your vocabulary to understand how the world works? And are you able to put together new ideas? Or is the AI doing it for you and now you're literally rotting yourself from the inside out? And now you have the US government is saying that we should have AI in the schools. And they're taking initiatives to put ChatGPT and create collaborations with these AI companies to teach your kids. Okay, one, I don't trust the average teacher to teach my kids. Do you trust OpenAI? Do you trust Sam Altman? The Altman. Do you trust him to teach your kids? Do you think he has your kid's actual best interest? Or do you think he wants consumers for life? And he's going to put a smile on his face and seem like that awkward, kind of likable guy It's like these guys at the top are freaking psychopaths. They're really, really good at PR. Back when I was talking about Century of the Self, okay? Do you know how the Rockefellers, do you know how evil the Rockefellers were? They literally, I think it's called the Littleton Massacre. It was in Colorado. There's a bunch of families out there. I think it was with the mining industry. And sorry, my kids just stepped outside. My wife is grilling something for lunch. There was this like little town massacre where they sent in people with guns and killed the strikers. Straight up massacred them because they were striking. And guess what? That was a bad look for the public. And then they created the Rockefeller Foundation. So now you think, oh, the Rockefellers, they're kind of benevolent. I don't know. You know, some of you are like, oh, no, they're evil. Okay, they care about money over human life. It's very simple. It's like that's how it works. They care about money over human life. Now the question is for you, instead of judging them or blaming them, it's like just imagine they are a pre-programmed design running in the system. That's just what they're programmed to do, is just make money. And they'll make it sound benevolent and they'll make it sound good. Like, oh yeah, or the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Wow, and Bill Gates, he looks kind of like Mr. Rogers. He's so likable, you know. I think he's like doing something good for the world, curing disease. You know, it's like that's the image that's presented. But if you actually study Bill Gates, you read his book Hard Drive, you study the history of how he built Microsoft, Bill Gates is one of the most ruthless motherfuckers in the entire world. That guy was so obsessed. You think he's this like innocent old guy who's like helping cure polio. This dude was so ruthless with his business dealings. One is he would launch the next round of Windows without even having it like fixed up. And then he would launch it. Everyone would be pissed because it wasn't working. And then he would sell them more shit like the virus, you know, fixers and all that. It's like he was ruthless, reptilian mode, only caring about money and profit, winning at all costs. Do you think that changed just because he put on a Mr. Rogers sweatshirt? It's like, no, this guy is fighting the war for the mind to accumulate resources for him to win. Basically, him and his buddies. Like, Bill Gates was so ruthless. He would get these guys to come in. This was back when Microsoft was in New Mexico. He would have like these Japanese executives come in. He'd pick them up at the airport in his Porsche. They would go to their business meeting, but he would drive them in his Porsche like 100 miles an hour, freak them out, totally like put them into a state of disarray, and then show up at the business meal, at the business meeting, after he had basically just given them a near-death experience, and then he would get his way with them. Like ruthless shit, okay? These are the people that are making decisions about where the world is headed. So the question for you is, like, you probably haven't even got the invitation yet. But here's your invitation is, who are you going to be? What team are you going to be on? Are you going to be on Team Life, where you're here to expand and fundamentally create a world that's best for everyone? Where you're willing to dedicate your life so that over the next few generations, we can create a world where humanity has systems in place so we can actually thrive. And we don't have to be controlled. We don't have to create a techno-feudalism society. If you don't know what techno-feudalism is, you got to read it. Like, you got to get in the self-perfected group. You got to connect more. If you don't know about this shit, you are a sitting duck, walking around, thinking life is good because you can pay your bills. Meanwhile, there's literally this whole surveillance grid being put into place. And techno-feudalism is that if you look in the past, like back in the day with kings and queens, you know, and you had the serfs who worked the fields, and the serfs, you know, were taken care of. You know, they got to harvest food and all that. But at the time of war, yeah, you better show up and you better be on the front lines, and, you know, 2/3 of you are probably going to die. It's like, that's serfdom. That's what they call it. That was the feudal ages. Nowadays, if we're not careful, we're going to go back to techno-feudalism, where the people who run the tech companies are the kings and queens, and then the average person is a fucking peasant. And you are used to mine your data and your energy and your resources, all to basically just fit into the system. Do you want it to get that bad before you stand up and you say, fuck, I wish I did something sooner? Or can you see the common sense now and you want to move yourself and you want to be part of a group that's actually having the most fun out of anyone else, we have the most freaking fun at our events. I look at my wife and what she does all day with the kids. They're having a blast. She's homeschooling them. Last night, we just went to a park, met up with a cool local mom and her 3 kids, and they're looking at getting involved in the education tools because they homeschool, but it's not as effective as they know it could be, and they're going to be working with us with their education company. But we hung out for like 3 hours at the park just talking about life and, you know, having fun and playing. It's like we're having a bunch of fun, but we're also changing the world. Do you want to have fun and change the world? Do you want to have fun and change the lives of the people around you? Because if you do, reach out. Like, go in the description in the video, send me a message on Facebook or Instagram, whatever channel. Be like, hey, yeah, I want to be part of this. I want to be part of Team Life. I want to get involved. I want to expand. I want to get smarter. I want to influence the world. I want to understand how the world works. Because if you're just scrolling social media, watching highlights, that's not how the world works. That's an engineered picture that's given to you of how the world works. There's probably 15 documentaries I could recommend to you. There's about 8 to 10 podcasts I could give you. We have the Self-Perfected podcast as well, but you're probably not ready for that yet. I mean, unless you've been watching it and then you know, but it's like we go in on this stuff all the time. I would love for you to be part of this with us and be on Team Life. But it's a decision you're going to have to make, and you're going to have to see, are you going to wait for it to get really bad? Or are you going to be able to step up and direct yourself and grow every day and then be part of the team that's here to do that? Okay. I would love to see you reach out. So text me, DM me, let's connect and let's build. All right.